These paintings also started because when I was at the residency, I was looking at the immense collection. I don't know if you've been to the William Humphreys
No,
Art Gallery.
no, I haven't.
They have a huge collection of contemporary art, but also a huge collection of 16th, 17th Dutch still life paintings.
Okay.
So as I was in that space and immersing myself in that space, I was seeing these still life paintings, and I love traditional approaches to art making. So it really rang true with me. But then at the same time, I started to think, because of the concept I was looking at, I started to think of that period in South Africa of 1670 Dutch arrival and trying to settle, and the conflicts and the communities that were developing, and all those layers. I started to think of that around the idea of the still life and the showing off, well, the pronk still leven, of the showing off of what you have, was the original sort of status symbol of the still lifes from 17th century Dutch painting.
Oh, I
So
see. I didn't know that. So
yeah, it
that
was like
was
a showing of wealth, or showing, look what
oh
beautiful
wow.
grapes I've got from this area, and what beautiful this,
Of course, yeah. Because they weren't
and
a photograph, so they had to
yes, so it
show
was a
that, yeah.
status symbol of sorts. So thinking of those layers of
So
that, and
it was
and the
almost their
colonial,
Instagram, you would say.
in a way, yes, definitely. Whereas, yeah, maybe the food they ate that supper doesn't look as great as the painting they've got. Yeah, definitely. So I was looking at those layers of that colonial, that period in the colonial encounters with this sort of idea of the still life, and that's where the braai still life came in as a sort of contemporary
Okay,
reflection of
now,
that.
yeah, now it makes sense.
But then, to get back to your question, the fire starter, that was also a response to a work in their collection. So for many years, actually, well, since a young child, when I mentioned my parents were very supportive, I got a catalog when I was younger of uh, Anton van Vo's small works, small bronzes, which he was very famous for. Obviously, he was famous for large scale public sculptures as well. But he was, as a kid, I was fascinated by the attention to detail and this idea of this bronze casting and these, like I said, a fan of representational figurative work. So I think that probably started there. And I think most South African sculptors probably are influenced or have a great respect for the work he did as well, especially the smaller bronzes. And I'd seen them. So for many years, I've wanted, or many in the recent, since I've been a professional artist, I've been wanting to be in a space where I could do something that's in conversation with his work. And then the first day I walked into William Humphreys, right in the front, there was two Anton van Vo small bronzes. And it just felt like I knew from that first day, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do something here. But I worked sort of as the residency went on, I started to sort of percolate on this idea of interacting with it, because he was also, I think he immigrated to South Africa in his 20s, and then created a lot of public sculptures, public art pieces, that he and there was a lot of, sometimes if you read into a lot of controversy around his subject matter. So it would be of the indigenous people, but they would be nameless, or there would be a detachment to who they are, even though there was a respect and a detail in capturing them and their person. It really echoed a lot of the issues that South Africa was having at the time of colonization and the white superiority over a black subject, and that sort of discussion was always part of his work because of the time he was in. And for example, this work was called the Dagga Smoker. So it was a nameless representation of an indigenous San man. So I wanted to try bridge both time, bridge in the fact that that piece was done, I think it was 1906. So 100 20 or so years difference between myself and him, and what has changed in the country, how it has grown, how it has developed,
Amazing.
So I wanted to find a way I could insert that new. So instead of in the sense of the idea of demolishing or erasing sculptures of the past, especially if they're not necessarily directly confrontational, but just by matter of time and review, are maybe a bit confrontational, or I can't think of the word to use, but don't really work within the contemporary society. So instead of that, I thought of a way of trying to just add more to a narrative, or change the narrative by interacting with it or having a conversation with it. Then it brings it into a contemporary discussion, but it doesn't erase the work itself.
Oh, yeah.
So in that way, I started this fire starters, where then I inserted myself in a sculpture similar to this, but in a different pose with the bellow, feeding. So then I became one of the subjects of the sculpture. I inserted myself in the sculpture. So we are both then these nameless figures that create a composition, and we're both feeding and building a fire together with the other figure that Anton van Vos had created. So for me, it was very special to have that
You're
sort of
giving
full
me
circle.
goosebumps, really, because this is amazing. And of course, I know about, the Khoi community in South Africa. I know of the history of them, and I'm also fascinated about them and what's become of them. So and that the story that you're telling now, it's amazing.
No, thank you so much. And it's for me as well, that aspect of the digital sculpture and the benefits of that. So that was another aspect, is that I could go there and measure Anton van Vos' piece, get an idea of scale. Then I could go and recreate my work to make sure it's at the same scale, and print and then test it, see if it works. So those aspects, obviously 3D printing is one of its major benefits. Sorry if that's my email making a loud noise. Let me close that.
No, I can't hear it. So
okay. I forgot what I was saying now. Sorry. The benefits of the 3D printing's major benefit is rapid prototyping. So the fact that you can make something, see if it works. If it doesn't, tweak it, then you can tweak it and then print again, so that it's never normally an end product. It's more benefits the space in which you are producing something. Once you are happy then with it, then it becomes sort of injection molded or cast in metal and so forth. So that's where I enjoyed the 3D printing aspect, and the fact that I could do that.
Yeah.
Knowing the actual bronze was there, the antique bronze of Anton van Vos, and knowing and seeing it juxtaposed with the 3D print was very special. And
I haven't seen that sculpture of his, but it's wonderful also that you can think that now you are able to do it that way, you know, that you even 120 years later, how art has changed and how you are able to, as an artist, do it in a different way.
Yes. No, definitely. I think it was special also knowing the personal influence maybe his work and the aesthetic of his work had on me personally as well, was also something special. And it's even noted that specific bronze was one of his favorites, which was also, and you can see why. The detail on that piece is incredible. It is also, I mean, it's funny because, like, as a sculptor and people might see that sculpture without sort of prior knowledge to what that engagement was. I think I've had one or two inquiries if I can make an edition of that piece for them, and then obviously I have to let them know it's not my work. And you can, I mean, he was incredibly talented, with his attention to detail. So I don't even think I could create it the same.
And how amazing that you've always wanted to do something, or that you were so interested in his work and that you were led to Kimberley to that specific gallery to work there. And